Hi friends, it's Jean here, and I'm back, and I'd like to share the second part of our trip to Africa and the first part of our 9-day safari, where we spent 3 days in Tarangire National Park in Tanzania. And so we took off on the first morning, and this was the clock tower on the Great North Road, which is midway between Cairo and Cape Town, which was really cool. And then we arrived in Tarangire National Park, and we had a little briefing about the park from our guide. And here's our guide and our driver setting up a hot lunch for us, which we had every day. And I was looking at some materials. And then we were excited to head off on our first game drive. So we saw some wildebeest and zebras, and then here are some little baboons. You can see them in this video. There was big baboons and baby baboons, and they were going up and down this tree. It was really cute to see. And you can see even more of the little ones now coming down the tree. So that was kind of fun. And then we kept driving, and we saw a water buck, which is a type of antelope. And then we started seeing elephants. And this park is known as the Elephant's Paradise. So there are tons of elephants in this park. And I just loved the elephants. I thought they were so beautiful, and it was so interesting to see the mamas and the babies. We saw tons of families with babies, and they travel in clans. So here you can see we happened upon a clan of the elephants, and they were all just grazing and eating the grass, the mamas and the babies. They were so, so cute. And here you can see they've got the mud on themselves because they put mud on their backs. And here we are in our safari vehicle, and you can see how close we were to this whole herd of elephants as they just grazed around. We were really enjoying it. And then they started to head off, and as I said, there was the moms and the babies, and you can see the beautiful background with the hills around the savannah. And then we ran into a baby baboon on its mama's back, and they're really funny animals. And then we happened upon a single Big Daddy elephant who was on the riverbank, and he was putting his trunk into the sand to get the water out of it. He wasn't right on the edge, which was really neat to see. And then we saw some cute little warthogs. They were such funny animals playing around on the side of a river. And then we happened upon a watering hole, and there was a whole bunch of zebras there. And you can see them in this video. They were drinking the water and just walking around. And all of a sudden, you'll notice that something scares them, and they all start running out, which was funny. And they have such funny little butts, which was cool to see. And then an elephant came down to the same watering hole. And then, as you'll see in the next video, a whole clan of elephants came.
Oh, they're running because the elephants chased them off. He was like, okay, we're out. Hang
Oh, here they come. Look, the whole clan. And a bird. So it's really cool to see just all the species together. There were elephants, and there were wildebeest, and there were zebras, and there had been some little warthogs too. And they were on both sides of the watering hole. And in the back there, you can see the zebras and the warthogs. And the elephants were drinking the water and playing in the water and splashing the water and the mud on their backs. They do that to cool off and to also keep the bugs away. So we were just standing there for half an hour watching all the interactions.
The little ones are so cute. They're really close to us. I can see some more with my naked eye.
I know.
You see the binoculars, really.
So you can see these ones rolling around. You can see in the background there's a zebra rolling on the ground in the mud, which is really funny. And the birds are coming up. So they were all just drinking and enjoying their time in the water. And here's some photos that we zoomed in on the animals. You can see their big tusks and their trunks as they were in the water. And then they decided they were done, and they just started heading off into the savannah, I guess heading to their next place and to graze more on the grass. And this big guy kind of took a look at us and then kept going. And you can see all the safari vehicles that they just don't pay attention to them at all. And then off they went, heading off to somewhere else. And then we passed another whole clan of elephants that was on a river. We were looking down on them. And we went to a little picnic area to take a short break. Here was a little monkey. And we took some pictures of ourselves. And you can see the elephants in the background there along the river. So that was really fun. And then we saw some giraffes. We were starting to head back home after our day to head back to the lodge. And here you can see as we're driving along in our Jeep, you can sort of see the train, the baobab trees, which are only in Tarangire Park, and then the acacia trees. And then here's a zebra and another picture of a zebra. They're such pretty animals. And then we saw a couple more elephants crossing the road ahead of us. And then we headed back to our lodge and took a wonderful outdoor shower. It had been a hot and dusty day. And here's the view from our porch. And you can see there were some zebras and impalas grazing behind us. There's a lake back there. And then we went to the lodge and had a few drinks and watched the sunset. It was really, really beautiful. And after we watched the sunset, we went in and had a nice dinner. In the dinner tent, it was a buffet. And then when we finished dinner, the elephants were drinking out of the pool, which was really cool to see. So then for our second day in Tarangire, here's some journaling I did about it. We headed back into the park. But before we did that, we were driving just really close to our lodge, and we saw a bunch of big elephants, a group of them all together that were sort of by an old abandoned camp. And then we entered into the park gates. You can see there it is, and it's called the Elephant's Paradise. And we had left really that early that morning to sort of get a jump start on the day. So the sun was rising over the landscape. Here's the baobab tree with the sunrise. It was just beautiful. This is a cliff springer, which is a type of mountain goat. And a view as we were going down into the valley. Here's an ostrich. And then we saw a bunch of birds. This is a lilac-breasted roller bird. And this was a butler eagle. And then this was the African hoopoe bird. Our guide was an expert on birds too. And then we saw a bunch of Cape buffalo again down by a river. And here you can see how many of them there were. It really was a lot. And then we were driving sort of lower down by the river in the marshy areas. And we saw a whole bunch more Cape buffalo with the egrets on their backs and around them. And then this is an African martial eagle. And then we stopped for lunch at a beautiful picnic area. And you can see we had a hot lunch every day. And then we saw a leopard in a tree, which was so cool. It was hard to see at first, but then he sat up and you could really see him. Just so cool. And then this is an African crowned eagle. And so then we had kept driving around, and again we happened upon a whole clan of elephants who were down by the river, and you can see the mountain in the background, just so beautiful. And we just sat and watched these elephants for quite a while. Here's some little ones who were playing in the water. They played almost the whole time we were there. They were having so much fun. They would go in the water and play and come out and then go in at another spot. It was really so cute to see. And then there were a bunch of different families in this group you can see the babies and the moms. That was a younger mother. And the dads were in the background, and everyone was resting and grazing, all the different families together. And it was just such a beautiful vista. Here you can see the baby with the mom, and I have a couple shots of all the elephants together. These two guys were over on the side, and then they started scratching their backs on the log. And some more shots of the babies. It was just really such a cool thing to see. And as we were driving back, we happened on this big elephant, and he didn't really like us, so he started stampeding after our vehicle. And then when we got back, there were more elephants drinking out of the pool. And we'd had a long sandy day, so the girls took a dip in the pool, which was really nice, and we had some drinks by the pool again and watched the sunset. And it was just so beautiful. And again, there were zebras and impalas in the background. And then we finished our night with another nice dinner. And we ended up playing cards in the lounge that evening before going to bed. And then our next morning, we were checking out of the Simba Lodge. You can see the bedroom here and the bathroom. It was really nice. And here I am in my safari outfit and on our porch. And this was the girls' tent. And our porch. And then this was our tent. So as you can see, they were really nice. So we headed back into Tarangire National Park. We were supposed to go to Lake Manyara, but there had been some flooding. So it wasn't good viewing. So we had to stay in the Tarangire Park. So we saw more elephants that day, a whole herd of them by this baobab tree and with some of the babies. This one had a broken tusk. Here I am, just so happy to be seeing all this and watching these elephants. Here you can see them walking and grazing as they were heading down to the river. That one on the left had lost one of his tusks, which was really interesting. And then they headed off again, heading down to the river. And then we saw a whole bunch of Cape buffalo again.
I think I heard that tree.
Water bucks, zebras, Cape buffalo, giraffes in the distance. And here's the water buck. And then we saw a single elephant down by the river that was with all these palm trees, which I thought was just so pretty. It was really just such a beautiful area. And then again, we stopped for our picnic lunch. It was kind of a cloudy day that day. Here's our guide, Augustine, helping set up lunch. And then we were getting ready to leave Tarangire and saying goodbye to the baobab trees because we won't see them anymore. And we were heading to our next stop at the Ngorongoro Coffee Lodge, which was a couple-hour drive away. So thanks for watching, and I hope to share more soon.